Welcome. So, today I'm going to be talking about purpose. This is something that can feel very elusive, connecting to your new purpose. How do you find it while you're going through loss? What does purpose really mean? So, I'm going to talk to you about the actual steps. There's 4 steps that you need to take to feel that connection to your true purpose, to feel like you have a meaningful life that you're living every day as you heal from your loss. Purpose is really something you connect with when you feel aligned with what you are doing in your life. It's that feeling in your body, in your heart, that knows you are where you need to be right now. It's when you feel like you matter and the things in your life matter. The things that you're doing in your life matter. We can't help but get that sense of immense gratitude when we realize we have connected with our purpose and that we're living lives with meaning. So gratitude is really a sign that we have connected with that purpose. Purpose does change over our lifetimes. I do want to say that. So we have to revisit this over and over, and that's actually a healthy thing to do. When we experience loss through things like an empty nest or a relationship ending, we often need to revisit our purpose. We need to revisit our purpose as parents, as single women, as women in relationships, maybe a relationship that has changed in some difficult way. So many of you have started your healing journey, and you're probably listening to this because you're at that point where, in order to continue moving forward, you need that clarity to help you understand what your next steps are supposed to be so that you have purpose and meaning in your everyday life. So before I get started, for those of you that don't know me, let me just quickly introduce myself. My name is Diane Bonilla. I'm a grief breakthrough coach. I'm a seasoned mental health therapist. I've been in the mental health field for almost 3 decades. And I'm a master practitioner of hypnotherapy and neuro-linguistic programming. I help women break through ambiguous grief experiences like empty nest, relationship loss, aging parents, anything sort of in that time of our lives where it's directly related to a stage of life. My clients are truly ready to put the work in to connect to hope, emotional liberation, and meaningful new purpose so that they feel joy, they feel magic, they feel the joy and magic that they really deserve in their lives. I'm also a wife. I'm a mom of 2 amazing young adults, and I'm a very proud mama of our almost 15-year-old beagle he'll turn 15 actually this month in November. So if after this training you do feel like you're ready to take a next step, to keep moving forward, even if it's moving forward slowly in your grief healing, I'm offering a 15-minute complimentary strategy call. You get me all to yourself, and we can discuss if working together with me makes sense. There is a calendar link in this replay link so that you can book a call. You can also just reach out to me on Messenger if you prefer to do it that way. So I look forward to exploring this with you if you decide to do it. So let's dive into today's training. When you experience loss, you experience a massive shift in so many aspects of your daily life. And I know you know what I'm talking about. You're no longer doing all the things that you used to do. Things have changed. You're no longer needed, perhaps, in the same way that you were. This is particularly the case with empty nest. For those of you who are dealing with empty nest loss, it's important to figure out what is your new parenting role and where else in your life can you focus. So I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. If you're dealing with relationship change or relationship loss, understanding who you are without this person in your life or without them the way they used to be, that is important. It's important to finding your purpose, understanding your new role. So perhaps you've tried to fill the void that you feel with this loss with more friends, more outings, more hobbies, more travel, more work, okay? But a lot of times what I hear from women is that this really, it's distracting for a while, but then you're really just left feeling really busy, really exhausted, and you're still not really clear about what your true purpose is now that you've experienced this change, this loss. So how do you get clarity about something like purpose? Well, like I said, there's 4 steps. So let's dive into those steps and then I'll review them at the end quickly. So step 1. Step 1 is really important. The truth is, in this step, you can't really go to the other steps without this one. Connecting to purpose has to begin with letting go of what is keeping you stuck, what is keeping you connected to the past, okay? Let me be clear that letting go does not mean letting go of the person, okay? It means letting go of the emotional baggage that accumulated around the relationship that you have or had with this person, okay? So baggage from relationships with your former partner, your ex, an old friend, or your high school student who's now a college student, okay? Those are just some examples. Emotions like guilt, regret, anger, sadness, fear, worry, these are things we all experience, and over time in a relationship, they can really weigh us down as we store them in our unconscious mind, in our bodies, and it really keeps us in these exhausting thought loops, or even can cause us to lose progress and to have an emotional spiral. So it's really, honestly, nearly impossible to move forward and think about a new purpose if you're still revisiting old stuff over and over again. I can't stress that enough. So releasing emotional baggage around your life change, around your loss, around your empty nest is your free pass to new purpose. Okay, if you hear anything today, step 1 is what you need to remember. You have to release and let go of this baggage. Okay? When I work with clients, I take them through a gentle yet very powerful process. It's called Sweet and Soulful Release. And this allows them to tie up loose ends, understand what's keeping them stuck, and work through a closure process that provides them unbelievable freedom. It's really a real unburdening of emotions and baggage. Let me just give you an example so that you can kind of visualize what this looks like. So my client, Tracy, she was struggling with sending her one and only off to college. That's a difficult one. So it's like first time launching and also an empty nest all in one. Most of her life had been wrapped up in all the activities she did with her daughter. There was a huge void with her launching her daughter to school. She really wanted to figure out her life and purpose after this college launch. She worked through the Sweet and Soulful Release, and she was able to ultimately let go of the fear and the sadness that she had been hanging on to about her daughter moving out. After this process, she was spending much less time laying around in bed. She became more active in her faith and her church, and she actually started a new job, which I'll tell you more about in a minute. She received closure with her old parenting relationship, the high school years, okay? And that opened a door for her new life as a college mom. She came to the next coaching call, and I remember her telling the group how blown away she was by how powerful the Sweet and Soulful Release was. And actually, it's probably the most popular part of my program just because it's so impactful. The best part of this process when you let go of baggage is that it unlocks clarity, okay? You're clearing stuff away, and of course, you're going to begin to see things through a new lens, okay? So this brings us to step 2, all right? Step 2 is doing an inventory of your current life, okay? After loss, there's usually a void of some kind. It's just going to be different depending on what your loss is. And now that you've released all this baggage, you have a choice to examine what in your life you have been putting on the back burner. What has been a low priority that now you need to dust off and bring forward, okay? This is how you channel your energy and intentions to rebalance your life after loss. And when I work with clients, we dive into 8 specific life areas. There's actually way more than 8. I've just narrowed them down to 8 specific ones that I feel come up over and over again, but there's definitely more than 8 life areas. And I'm sure if you sat and thought about it, you could come up with a lot more. And we look at these areas to see where there's imbalance and where inspired action can maybe do some magic here, okay? So this deep dive that we do in these 8 life areas is called my recalibration roadmap, okay? So after step 1, when you've released baggage, you come back and you have to take an inventory of your life, okay? In the different areas of your life. And you can do that because you have clarity now. You've cleared space for yourself to do that. Once certain life areas are identified as needing attention, okay? And you can do that on your own and think about that. I totally recommend journaling on this step. So what I do with my clients, then we identify ways to restore the balance, okay? So they identify maybe 1 or 2 areas. Usually there's 1 or 2 that are glaringly needing attention, okay? And that's normal. There's nothing wrong with you to have that. And whenever there's a change in your life, you have to do this. Even when there's not, it's important to kind of tune back in again. So let me give you an example with Tracy just really quickly. She identified 2 areas that needed her attention. Her professional life, which had definitely been on the back burner, and her faith, which maybe didn't need as much as professional life, but those were like her top 2. And she realized she needed to be brave about opening these new doors. But she definitely had new clarity about this after releasing all that fear and sadness. So that brings us to step 3, okay? Step 3 is taking inspired action, okay? Through the process of letting go and then recalibrating your life areas, you're ready to make some choices in life areas that you identified that need nurturing. So Tracy, because she identified her career as an area that had been on the back burner, she began to apply to new jobs. And she also began to study for her license, which she had been putting off. And that's okay. Like we are constantly prioritizing in life, and we have to reshuffle when there's a change. So she also renewed her dedication to her spiritual life and found this very helpful as she began to do her job search. Okay, the 2 of them were really tied in for her. And these were her inspired actions. You know, she actually did get a job, and she actually began to devote more of her spiritual life to her church and prayer. The beautiful thing about these choices is that stepping back from Tracy's old relationship with her daughter, the one from high school, and then allowing herself to focus on other areas of her life, actually allowed her daughter the space she needed as a college freshman. Tracy found out that, or realized that her daughter, through time, began to seek her out for advice and support as it was needed. So once she gave her that space, because she was working on her own life, Tracy was working on her own life, her daughter had enough space and freedom to come to her when she needed it. And so Tracy realized that another part of her purpose, her parenting purpose, was being a mentor to her daughter, and also a role model. So she really felt good that she could support her daughter that way as they both were building their new lives. And so this really opened up the door to a new relationship with her daughter. So you can see how when you do this process, lots of areas are impacted, not just the area that you're working on. Okay? So the truth is, taking inspired action leads to more clarity about purpose. Your new actions become part of your bigger journey to connect to your new purpose. So before we go to step 4, let me just review the first 3 steps one more time. So step 1, this is all to connect to purpose. Step 1 is letting go of baggage. Okay? We've got to do that. And the other steps don't really happen without this. Step 2 is rebalancing or recalibrating your life, the different areas of your life, doing an inventory, which I recommend you sit in a quiet room and space and dedicate maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes to just sort of thinking about your different life areas, okay? And looking at what needs attention. And the third step is taking inspired action from step 2. What choices can you make to lead you to a more balanced life, which in turn helps you to feel like you have more meaning in your life and begins to connect you to purpose. Okay, so step 4, this one is last, of course, step 4, but it's one you're going to keep coming back to. And so step 4 is all about checking back in with yourself after you go through those steps and you take inspired action. You want to check back in and make sure that, check in with how you feel. Do you feel aligned as you're making these choices? Okay. And this is going to be something you do over time. Do your choices feel good in your body? Do they feel good in your heart? Or is there still a struggle somewhere? You might have to revisit step 1. There might be still some baggage to clear. Okay. Maybe you need to look again at your priorities, at your 8 life areas. All right, do your choices keep you moving forward in your healing? If you're feeling like you're moving forward, even if it's very slowly, then you're on the right path, okay? Do your choices honor you and the relationship that you are grieving, okay? And all of these questions and this step will inform you as to whether you need to keep going, keep taking your inspired action, or do you need to go back and revisit the steps. So I hope this all makes sense. I do teach all of this in my grief breakthrough methodology. There's 3 pillars to my methodology. The first one, which we haven't talked about today, but that's igniting hope so that you can begin to envision life through a new lens and you can begin to feel inspired to continue your healing journey. Today, we've covered a lot of the second and third pillars of this methodology that I've created. The second pillar is emotional freedom, which we've talked about, where you're releasing negative emotions that are keeping you stuck, okay? And then the third pillar, which we are ultimately what this whole training about, is connecting to purpose. Now, when I work with clients, of course, we also do meditate. I record hypnosis meditations, guided meditations for them, which really strengthen their inspired action, because sometimes inspired action can be scary. Even though we know it's the right thing, it can be, it's new for us. So it can bring up a lot of fear. And so this is what I use to help support clients as they make new choices and begin to connect with a new purpose. And also just the time we have together each week in our group call. These pillars that I've created are a culmination of my life's work, truly. I've been working with grief and loss for on and off, depending on, the program that I was in, but basically for almost 30 years. And this methodology is how I personally have put my own grief in the rearview mirror for myself. It's how I've connected to my soul's purpose. And really, it's how I honor my grief journey every single day. I truly stand behind this because it's worked for me and it's worked for my clients. If you're ready to keep moving forward and you think you'd like to talk to me more about this, I'd love to invite you to book that 15-minute complimentary call that I talked to you about. It's a grief breakthrough strategy call. No pressure. It's really to see if working with me makes sense. We'll talk about where you are in your healing journey, where you'd like to be in 3 to 6 months time from now, and how the program could possibly help you with that vision that you have. Okay. So it has been a true pleasure, as always, to connect with you all. If you have any questions about what I've talked about today, reach out to me on Messenger. You can, if you're in part of my free Facebook group, Overcoming Life Stage Loss, you can reach out in my Facebook group. If you need a link to my free Facebook group and you're not in it already, please reach out to me and I'll send you a link to join. Again, I just want you to experience what I've experienced. My soul's purpose really is to help other people in their grief journey. So again, a true pleasure to connect with you. Wishing you all hope, resilience, and healing.